Hi, so I just want to talk about something real quick, and what I want to talk about is about my tsunami dreams that I've written down on the notes app on my phone, as well as two from a Word document of mine. I just want to mention that some of these dreams I barely remember, and I'm also not sure if all of them were meant to be for or in Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, let's jump right into this. So I'm not reading word for word, and I'll also be including extra things. Also, for some of the screenshots in the notes app, you'll see some typos and grammatical errors. Just please ignore it. Okay, for this first dream is going to be from the Word document. Take a look at the date when I posted it on one of my Discord server. This is not the date that I got the dream. This is just the date that I posted it to the Discord server. I dreamt a tsunami came from either the northern or the western side of Trinidad. It was around the time of the La Palma volcano eruption. I remember being in the back porch of my parents' house. I was looking out the window and looking up to the sky. I was talking to Jesus, and I think I said, "I finally get to be with you." I embraced the incoming tsunami. I was happy to die. The dream had ended before the tsunami reached me though. The interesting thing about this dream is that it was the first dream that I could recall having that God gave me when I became a Christian. I don't know how to explain it, but there was a feeling in the dream that God had given me. I cannot remember what feeling this was, but I just remember that God had given me a feeling in addition to the dream, which made it very easy for me to understand that it came from Him. It was like He was babying me, I guess. That marks the end of that dream. Moving on to the next dream. I had this dream somewhere around May or June in 2023. I was at some beach with old school friends. I can't remember who they were in the dream. We saw a tsunami coming in the distance and we got into a car to escape it. It was like a jeep we got into. I remember that we was driving on a forested mountainous area. When we was driving, I remember taking a right turn, and when I looked back, I remember seeing the water had stopped at the junction. Realistically, this is possible, assuming that the height that we were after taking that right turn must have been higher than the water could have reached. Okay, so that marks the end of this dream. Moving on to the next dream. For this dream, take a look at when this note was last edited. I was on the northern side of Trinidad with some people. I didn't know who everybody was, nor did I know exactly where I was. I remember seeing the northern part of Trinidad flooding with muddy water. It just looked like waves to me. I remember knowing that it wasn't from a tsunami. It could have been from heavy rainfall. Me and the other people that I was with knew that a tsunami was coming despite all of this flooding. We didn't know the exact time that it was coming, but we knew it was coming soon. So we was heading inland, which is southwards. I specifically remember seeing one of my old friends from secondary school. I just remember that north was already flooding, and we knew that a tsunami was coming soon. For some reason in the dream, the country was a scaled down version, so it was easy to get to south from the north side. On our way inland, we stopped by this woman's house, and we went in, and she was in she bed. In the woman's house, on she bed, I saw the female demonized character from the old movie The Exorcist. She was basically downplaying the whole situation, telling the woman that the tsunami wasn't coming and that we don't know what we're talking about. While she was saying all of this, she was looking at me and smiling. Sadly, the woman believed the demonized person, and me and the others had to continue going inland, southwards to higher ground. I didn't mention it in a note, but for some reason when I was walking from north to south, it somehow felt like I was walking through parts of the year. Like when the flooding happened, it felt like that was the earlier part of the year, and then later on in the year, the tsunami was coming. That's the end of this dream. Moving on to the next dream. I literally only remember like 5% of this dream. Take a look at when this note was last edited. I also included when this dream happened. I dreamt I was on some beach in the water. I thought I was in India or something. I saw this physically disabled light-skinned man in the water with his friends on the deeper side. A wave had come and hit the disabled fella and made him fall, which made him nervous. So the guy friends come and bring him to shore. While they were going to the shore, more waves were passing. I remember seeing the disabled guy getting hit and him actually like drowning or something. By the looks of it, all he had to do was stand and he would have been alright. But his physical disability was probably a foot problem, or the wave probably come and hit him and damage the foot. As they made it to the shore, I remember seeing this weird looking wave. The best way for me to describe this wave is to imagine this part of the wave here standing up straight. Then imagine this top piece here, imagine that straight as well, but extending way out. I can't remember if I saw two like this or not. When the wave finally hit shore, the roofing, which is the top part over here, I saw it collapse and it hit everyone, including me. I'm not sure if I drowned or not because I remember seeing like if I was underwater. Anyways, that marks the end of this dream. Moving on to the next dream. Take a look when this note was last edited. I also included the date that I got the dream. I dreamt that I was somewhere out in the sea, but there was like some type of constructed land on the sea. The place was big. I remember seeing concrete flooring, and it even had buildings and a trailer truck on it. Now in reality, the only thing that I could think of this being is an offshore rig, but I don't think it have any rig big enough like what I was seeing. All of a sudden I was watching the water and I saw these big waves just generated, and it was coming towards us. Now when I say big, I don't mean actually huge. I just mean like big enough to be noticeable for the area that we was in. Since we was out like literally in the middle of the sea, I remember thinking to myself, how these waves being generated, where these things come from. I myself haven't been out in the sea like that in any type of offshore rig or boat, but I know that when you're out there generally the waves are really calm. It don't have no type of beach wave or anything like that. When I had seen the waves, I remember holding hands with whoever was with me. I also remember seeing our old secondary school friend. I think we were meant to be praying, but I don't remember saying anything. I'm not sure if this is a dream where God showed me that a tsunami might originate from somewhere where our offshore rig is. I don't know. This marks the end of that dream. Moving on to the next dream. Take a look at when this note was last edited. I also included the date that I got the dream. So this note contains 2 dreams that I had about tsunamis. Here's the first dream. I just want to mention that I literally don't remember this dream at all. I was home and I somehow knew that the tsunami was coming. It wasn't the sign that I asked Jesus to show me. I think I also saw other people outside my parents' house. I think I only saw my father. I did not see my mother or my brother, and I just remember wanting my family to reach safety. I remember being unprepared, and for some reason my father just didn't want to believe me. I think this is the screenshot that I took when I woke up from the dream. Before I took the screenshot, while I was in the process of waking up, I remember hearing my sovereignty, my sovereignty. The word sovereignty basically means supreme power or authority. I thought about this as God saying that the tsunami could happen basically at any time. It's just that the sovereignty holding it back. I guess he holding it back for people like my father in the dream who didn't believe so that they could be saved. That marks the end of that dream. Now moving on to the next dream. In this dream, me and my family members knew that the tsunami was coming and we were escaping through the house window. Now I didn't see the doors in the dream, so I don't know if they was obstructed or not. My mother and my brother had already gone through the window and it was just me and my father to go through. It appeared that my father was drunk or something and he didn't want to believe me for some reason that the tsunami was coming. In the last 2 dreams that I shared, my father basically did not want to believe that a tsunami was coming to Trinidad. I think that God specifically gave me these 2 dreams so that I could pray for my father and anybody else so that they could believe that a tsunami is coming. That marks the end of this dream. Moving on to the next dream. Take a look at when this note was last edited. I'm not sure if this is the day that I got the dream or not because I just usually take a screenshot to mark the time that I wake up from a dream, and I guess this is the one that I could find at the time. I dreamt a tsunami dream again, but it didn't feel like a dream from Jesus. Now let me explain what I mean by that. When I first became a Christian, the very first few dreams that God used to give me, He used to accompany it with a feeling. Now I didn't have anybody to teach me about the faith, so I thought that all dreams from God must be accompanied by a feeling. Now I don't know how to describe this feeling, but I just used to get a feeling in a dream, and it was just like evident to me that it was God giving me the dream. Fast forward to now, present day me, I've realized that God doesn't have to give you a feeling in a dream for it to be a dream from Him. I suppose that He did it in the beginning because I was a baby Christian and it was like an extra like confirmation that this is a dream from Him. Okay, so continuing with the dream, I don't remember this part of this dream. It was like if I was on some beach in the green sea water. I was watching the waves come and go and it was getting stronger and bigger every time. Then the dream switched scenes. Me and my family members were together in the car. I think we were on Carib Street in San Fernando heading towards the direction of the pet store. It felt like we stopped somewhere on Carib Street right before Hobson Street. At some point in the dream, I remember staring down one of the side streets looking at Southern Food Basket. I'm not sure if I was on Carib Street or not. While looking at the grocery store, I remember seeing the big tsunami wave coming. It wasn't tremendously huge. It was probably about the height or a little bit higher than the building itself. Anyways, I suppose that we made it to the top of San Fernando Hill. I intend to go there in real life when the event is about to happen. However, I cannot guarantee your safety from the tsunami waters if you come to San Fernando Hill. I do not know how high the tsunami will be. And for some reason, me and my brother had an argument and it was like he was vexed with me and he was threatening to push me off. Now, when I say he was threatening to push me off, he wasn't actually going to do it. People with siblings will understand what I'm talking about. Sometimes when you're arguing with each other, you just give out empty threats. I know that he wasn't actually going to do it. Now, when he threatened to push me off, other people was around watching. And I decided that I'm going to follow around my brother for his safety. I started getting fearful that somebody would have wanted to return the favor to him and push him off. Wherever I was on San Fernando Hill, I was looking towards the east, the side with Food Basket. Me being me, I like to record everything. I had my GoPro out, I was recording the surrounding people and even myself. When I recorded myself, I smoked kinda like this picture below. To my surprise, I remember seeing one of my relatives there, who had a kinda concerned look on their face. In reality, this person isn't a Christian and they don't really believe anything that I have to say about religion. That's basically the end of this dream. The dream ended before the tsunami hit. Moving on to the next dream. Take a look at when this note was last edited. This note contains about 3 different dreams. I can't remember if they are different dreams or just different scenes, but I think they are 2 different dreams, one with just 2 scenes. I had gotten these dreams around late August or early September of 2025. I was in a vehicle. It seemed like my relative's vehicle. A different relative, which is my uncle, was the driver. I remember seeing my mother cousin in the passenger seat and my brother was also in the vehicle, but I didn't see him in the dream. I remember seeing my mother cousin using my brother's phone. I think in the dream that his phone was connected to the aux cord in the front of the vehicle. She was reading through the messages on my brother's phone, specifically the messages between my brother and my uncle who was driving. She was reading the messages to my uncle. She read the messages about how my uncle was planning on baking her a cake on her birthday. The whole time in this dream, dream we was driving to safety to avoid the tsunami that was coming. It was like we was alerted hours before it actually come. I'm not sure if this is a different dream. I think it's just a different scene. I was in a car but I don't remember who was the driver. It looked like we was on Supero Street in San Fernando. We were headed in the direction of the traffic lights. I remember that I was looking at San Fernando Hill, specifically the highest part of the hill. I saw this huge wave of water coming from the right hand side from where we were on the street. I saw the wave smashed itself against the hill. However, the height of the wave was not higher than the highest part of the hill. Imagine this white outline as the general shape of San Fernando Hill. The blue line is the water. The area circled in green is the side of the uncultivated highest part of the hill. When the wave had smashed itself against San Fernando Hill, the highest point that the wave had reached was in the area circled in green, and then it dropped back down to the level of the blue line. Assuming that the wave was the height of the cultivated part of San Fernando Hill, it appeared that it could have gotten washed away. It did not appear like it could have drowned. Only probably like children would have drowned because they're short. In the dream when I saw the wave, I specifically knew that this was just the beginning. Later on there could have potentially been more waves or the water level would probably rise. This was the end of that dream. The dream ended before the water reached me. Moving on to the next dream. I was in a car. I think it was one of my relatives' van. Another relative, my uncle, was the driver. As we were driving, I remember trying to convince my grandaunt in the backseat that a tsunami was coming. In the dream, she didn't want to believe me, and I kept on trying to convince her, but she just didn't want to believe me. You know how in them sci-fi movies, when the child tells the parent, I've been playing with an alien, and the parent just smiles at the child and is like, I'm sure you've been playing with an alien. You know, the parent assumes that the child is lying because it just seems like such a lie to be real. Every time I tried to convince her, she was watching me like that. I don't know if she thought I was lying or if she thought I was crazy. I just had to accept that she wasn't going to believe me, even if it costed her her life. This is the end of the dream. Okay, that's all the tsunami dreams that I've had for now. Notice how a couple of those dreams, the people in the dreams didn't want to believe me when I tell them a tsunami was coming. I really do feel that it's God's sovereignty that holding back this event. I feel like God gave me these dreams beforehand so I could pray for them to believe me when it's time to actually get to safety. I also just want to mention it again. I cannot guarantee your or anybody else's safety if you do decide to come to San Fernando Hill to try to survive the event. I am not God. I don't know how high the waves will actually be. I don't think I have anything else to add, so I think I'll end the video now. Anyways people, Jesus bless.